in 30 days or max to max 45 days you have to hire. It's a very tough job.
Yeah, it is. And of course, hiring someone takes, anywhere from 2 months.
Your number plate of the car that you've got has also SF there. And I don't know how did you got that.
Don't remind me. And I think we should also have a virtual high five because we were both the youngest Salesforce MVPs at one time or
Really?
another.
At what time you were?
Virtual high five.
The market has never been this crazy that it is right now. I guess everyone is struggling with right now at least.
Oh yeah, big time. Yeah, there was all the consultancies that I speak to and that I know people at in the UK are having the exact same issue.
So our guest today really needs no introduction. His name is very popular into the Salesforce space, and he's the founder of one of the first and the best blogs on Salesforce in the name of SalesforceBencom, where he has helped a lot of people start their career, crack the certifications, and build a brand for themselves by contributing onto the blog. So your blog is one of the blogs on which a lot of other people are also contributing towards the Salesforce community, and that's the really unique thing about your blog. He has been into the Salesforce space since 2012 and has seen almost a decade of innovation with the most innovative company out there in the world, according to Forbes, which is Salesforce again. Not only that, he has also been an entrepreneur and ran a consultancy in the UK called as, I'm not sure how to pronounce this name, Ben. Can you please help me with that?
Empower. I was interested to see what you were going to say because I've heard loads.
I just saved myself by just asking it to you right away. Okay, and which is backed by Salesforce Ventures itself, and very recently he has started another company, Cloud Orca. I'm not sure whether Empower is backed by Salesforce Ventures or not, so please correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. They got investment. Oh God, when was it? 2016, something like that.
Yeah. So okay, so my facts are correct in that sense then. Okay, with that being said, Ben, thank you so much for being a guest onto the Shrey Sharma show. It's really glad that you accepted our invitation and we are here doing it together.
Yeah, thank you very much, Shrey. Great introduction as well. It's very kind of you.
Thank you so much. So please let us know. I personally, not about the audience, but I really personally want to know, how did you got into the Salesforce world, or what was your first interaction with this term Salesforce, and how you got yourself into it? And it's been almost like more than 10 years, and you're nailing it like anything. So please tell us what's the story behind it all.
It's kind of the story that most people have, like, the classic accidental admin. It's almost identical to that, but it was like a graduate job. So I left Cardiff University in Wales with a degree in information systems, which is pretty perfect for Salesforce. So it was like half business, half computer science. And I got a job as an IT consultant. So I was going around telling everyone, hey, I'm going to be an IT consultant. I got a graduate IT consultant job. But I had no idea what Salesforce was until the first day that I started this job. And I can't remember if this company told me what I was going to be consulting on, but I had no idea until that first day. And then it just kind of everything clicked together. I was never a developer. I tried in uni, but I was never too good at those modules in university, the coding ones. But when I started learning about Salesforce, and I could create databases, relational databases, automations, all with clicks, not code. Everything kind of fell into place, and I was like, okay, this is what I can do, and I like this path I'm going down.
Got it. And you started your first job as a business analyst, am I correct?
Yeah, but it was like it's like one of those kind of half BA, half consultant roles that you get quite a lot of. So it was at a Salesforce consultancy, platinum consultancy, in a graduate Salesforce consultant / BA role.
So can you please explain us what exactly is the difference between a BA and a consultant? Or what exactly is the job of a consultant?
Depends who you ask. Yeah, so I think the lines are starting to kind of diverge now. Before, I think those kind of roles were used very interchangeably. So Salesforce BA, Salesforce consultant, Salesforce functional consultant kind of all meant the same thing, which was someone who was gathering requirements, implementing those, solutionizing, implementing on Salesforce, and then training, testing, doing everything end to end. And I think now as the Salesforce ecosystem gets bigger, the Salesforce business analyst is kind of falling back into the more traditional role of someone who understands the Salesforce system, but is mainly doing requirements gathering, matching up where we are currently versus where they want to be, and then doing a bit of solutionizing, but not actually implementing those solutions on Salesforce. While a consultant, I would say, is more of the end to end, more of the being involved in the requirements gathering, also the solutionizing, and then testing and training. But I think it really depends on what size the consultancy is. If it's a larger consultancy like Accenture, these roles are going to be a lot more defined. If it's a smaller consultancy like Empower or Cloud Orca, these roles are going to be spread across that whole project lifecycle, in my opinion, anyway.
Got it. Yeah, that's exactly what it is. And okay, so the basic difference between a business analyst and a consultant is the one, like both of them understand Salesforce almost equally, or consultant a bit more than the other one. But the job of a business analyst is to basically gather the requirements and then pass it on to the implementation team. Whereas the job of a consultant is to act as a trusted advisor for the client or for the customer or for the end user, who can help them implement who can help them get the best out of the platform that they are getting into, and also helps with solutionizing. Is that exactly what you're saying?
Yeah, I think so. And then I think you can further divide the consultant role into functional and technical, where functional is more declarative and technical is more on the developer side as well.
Perfect. So a lot of people actually want to start or want to build their career towards the consultancy side, or towards the non-technical side of the Salesforce. They are developers. Some of them are developers. Some of them are administrators. But they want to go towards the consultant side. So what do you think is the learning curve to go towards being a Salesforce consultant?
Yeah, good question. It's there definitely is a bigger learning curve, I would say, than becoming an admin. And I joined as a graduate consultant, but I had a lot of consultants around me to kind of train me up and things like that. But I think the reason there's a bigger learning curve with a consultant is just because you're expected to consult with any type of customer, and that customer might be in a certain industry or something like that, but you've got to be able to work with lots of different customers. You've got to understand lots of different configurations, lots of different solutions, while an admin is obviously going to work with usually one customer. So one org. So a consultant's got to have a lot more varied experience, but they're also going to have to be involved in the whole project lifecycle, as opposed to an admin, which is kind of internally supporting an org, which could be involved in projects as well. But a consultant, their job is just projects. So it's understanding that whole project lifecycle, requirements gathering, all the way to training, user adoption. Everything like that. So there definitely is a bigger learning curve. But I would say consultants, the reason it's a long learning curve is because you've got to have that experience, and the experience can only come with time.
Got it. So my question is, like, imagine there is a guy called as Tom, and Tom is a developer working in a company XYZ, and Tom wants to become a Salesforce consultant because he's got that interest towards being into a consulting role, or being involved onto a more business front rather than just the technical stuff. So what is your advice or suggestion or recommendation for Tom in this case?
Yeah, it's and I would say people that want to do that, go down that career path of becoming a technical, because what you're kind of describing is like a technical consultant there. If you're from a developer background wanting to move into a consultant, you're going to be moving into that technical consultant role where you can understand requirements very well, you can solutionize very well, but also you understand the technical side of Salesforce very well. And some of the best consultants that I've worked with are those technical consultants. If you're a developer looking to get into that side of things, I would say you really need to start getting more involved with the solution and the customer's requirements. So some of the best technical consultants and developers that I've worked with, I will say to them, hey, we're looking to do this on Salesforce, let's build this. And those developers usually push back. They usually go, well, what are you trying to do here? Because there might be a better way to do this. So I would say if you're a developer looking to get more experience, rather than just accepting the requirements you're giving, accepting the solution you've been giving and just creating it, try and have a dialogue with the consultant or whoever's giving you that requirement to see if that is actually the best solution. Because the person that's giving it to you is going to be, probably from a non-developer background, so they might not understand the complexities or maybe what other solutions are out there which could be built. So yeah.
Great. So what do you think these developers lack, which is required to be a consultant? Because it happens a lot of time that a lot of developers who are very good at developing the applications, writing down that code, or like creating a solution out of the code, want to be a consultant, but they are not good at that role, and then they roll back and come back to their real job, but that is of a developer. So
Yeah, it's hard to say because obviously it could be different for individuals, but it could just be that they're not used to having those conversations. That they're just used to accepting the requirement and going away and building it, as opposed to maybe it's a confidence thing. Maybe they don't have the confidence to speak up and challenge the consultant or challenge their client or whoever is giving them the requirement to actually to challenge them and have a bit of a conversation about it. So there could be that. It could potentially be a communication thing. If you were to kind of weigh up skills with developers and consultants, you would probably say that a consultant is better at communicating, possibly, because that a consultant is the one having a conversation with a customer. They've got to be able to communicate at different levels, from the users all the way to the CEO, and changing the way that they speak to them. Whilst the developer isn't doing that, so perhaps they don't have those skills because they're not practicing them. But you can only get those skills by practicing that kind of thing. So I would say to developers, just put yourself out there. These are the type of skills you can't really learn from Trailhead. I mean, I think Trailhead's got a few like softer skill modules that might help. But going out there and practicing in the real world is the best thing to do.
And that's the only thing that helps you build that. Reading stuff and listening to some videos which will help you boost your confidence is not going to last. But I think like the real world experience is the only thing that can help them become a consultant or whatever they want to become in their life, actually. Yeah. Okay. I'm curious to know, was Empower your startup, or you were part of that organization as an employee, and then later you got promoted to the position of managing director, or how did it all go?
Yeah. So it was the second option. So I was never kind of an original co-founder. Mm-hmm. So I joined. They had quite an established London office, Barcelona office, Madrid office, and I was joining the London office, which was just starting up. So there was 4 people: me, another consultant, the managing director, and a salesperson. The salesperson left, the managing director left, so it was just me and one other consultant. So I got asked by the CEO to take the reins as managing director, and also co-founder. I inherited that from the other managing director. So it didn't come with a pay raise, didn't come with much more responsibility apart from to try and sell some stuff. But I kind of took that as an opportunity to really grow and make my mark as the managing director of that office. And we ended up with about 25 people, $2.5 million in revenue in the London office. So yeah, it was a lot of fun. I was definitely thrown in the deep end though, because I had no idea what I was doing.
And what were your responsibilities as a managing director over there?
So I think the reason that I got picked to be the managing director was because a few months before I was asked to sell when the sales guy left. So the biggest responsibility was sales and growing the office. So that meant everything from building alliances with Salesforce. So Salesforce were our biggest lead source by far. I would say probably 80% plus of our leads and our business came directly from Salesforce. So you've got to build relationships with people at Salesforce, build relationships with the account executives, with the managers, do events with them. So that's like the alliances part of it. And then you've also got the sales part, which is directly speaking to customers, running workshops, putting together statement of works, negotiating, being an account manager as well to make sure that the project's going smoothly. What else? And then there's kind of classic manager stuff like hiring and helping people's careers, doing career paths and stuff like that. So yeah, quite a lot. Everything and anything, basically.
So you actually worked as an entrepreneur, or you can call it as an entrepreneur over there. Yeah, I mean, you did anything and everything that is required to run the show.
Yeah, pretty much. And that was kind of my first, I would say, successful venture. Like I've had I've had a few more businesses that I've tried to start up before that and things like that. But that was the first one that really kind of
Picked up.
worked and grew. And it was, extremely nice to see, something grow. I think we lost like £300,000 or something in the first year, when everyone was leaving the London office. And then, growing it to that a few years later was quite a nice thing to see.
What was the most challenging thing for you at that point? Like, you were doing sales, you were doing hiring, you were like creating operations, everything you were doing over there as a managing director. What amongst all of those things was the most challenging for you at that moment? When you recall that time, what comes into your mind first? That this was the most challenging thing.
Yeah, it was definitely balancing everything. I remember about 6 months into when I got made managing director, we sold a 6-figure deal. So it was just over £100,000. So, it was pretty massive in comparison to anything we've done before. And, I was just looking at the requirements going, how the hell are we going to do this? This is a big project, and there was probably 3 or 4 of us. So, I had a lot of sleepless nights where I was just like, I am so out of my depth. I, don't know what we're doing here. And yeah, it was balancing everything. You've got to be able to deliver that project. And at the time I was also technical. So I joined the consultancy as a consultant, meant to be running projects. So I was doing the sales, the alliances, trying to grow the office and actually working on this project as well. And that was just not a good combination. In fact, the reason I stopped doing technical work was because I messed up something pretty bad in someone's org. Because I just had way too much on. I was like, okay, I need to divide my responsibilities now and stop doing the project work.
and then you must have grew your company, or you must have hired some other people to take care of the things that you were taking care of in that particular project.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So we kind of we grew pretty quickly over time, but it was just me and another consultant that started off when we were 2 people. So we needed developers, we needed project managers, we needed consultants of different levels. We needed some kind of mid-level consultants that weren't too expensive, that could do some of the configuration work but not lead projects, and obviously try and help them to progress their careers to become more senior. So it was just trying to fill the gaps really. But I mean, that was anyone running a consultancy. I think you run a consultancy as well, Shrey.
Syntexa.
It's balancing everything. Syntexa, it's balancing everything. It's balancing how much pipeline do I have coming in and what are my resources. But the resources have to be a certain amount billable, but not too billable and not too underbillable.
It's always a balance from both the ends. Like from one end you get people, from another end you get projects or the work. And whenever there is a shortage of work, there are a lot of people to whom you have to pay the salaries. And whenever you have a lot of work, you have got very less people or very few people. And in almost in 30 days or max to max 45 days, you have to hire 10 to 20 people more to deliver onto the project that you've already taken upon. So it's a very tough job.
Yeah, it is. And of course, hiring someone takes, anywhere from 2 months to 3-4 months.
It's almost impossible into the current market, actually.
It is. Yeah. Exactly.
It's going crazy.
And when you compare it to running like a SaaS company, it's just like night and day.
Yeah, it is. So we have been running Syntexa from last 3 years. It's almost going to be like 4 years this January, this March, sorry. So yeah, but like in all of these 3 years or 4 years or even before than that, when I started my career into Salesforce, I've never seen a market like this ever before. People are going crazy like anything. We had a conversation with Christopher, the recruiter guy that you were talking about, like in the beginning of the call. So we were discussing all of this, and the market has never been this crazy that it is right now. It is almost becoming impossible to hire anybody out there, even if you're not judging them based on the skills that they've got. You're just hiring based on whether they are just showing up for the interview or not. And that's something that I guess everyone is struggling with right now, at least into the industry, right? Currently. Do you think so?
Yeah. Oh yeah, big time. Yeah. There was all the consultancies that I speak to and that I know people at in the UK are having the exact same issue. So yeah, it is pretty crazy. And people are demanding even higher salaries because they can.
Yeah.
No one blames you for that. If you can demand a higher salary, go for it. But it does make things harder for hiring, definitely.
Yeah, it's becoming really crazy. Okay. the major challenge is again balancing. Would you recommend someone who wants to make a lot of money, or who wants to make a lot of money, to start a Salesforce consultancy at this time?
Yeah, I mean, if people don't know, consultancies always get bought by bigger consultancies. There was a point in I think mid this year when 4 or 5 consultancies in Europe got acquired in the space of about a week for, and they were big consultancies. So I would imagine 10 million pounds / dollars, plus, I would imagine. So, there is big money to be made, but, these consultancies are, I think the youngest one was probably 5 years old. So, it's not bad. 5 years work, hard work, and you get a big payday at the end. But it's not easy at all. It's, it requires a lot of work, especially at the start as well. And I think one of the other things is you've really got to find your niche. There are so many consultancies now popping up. I don't know the exact figures in the UK, but you're talking hundreds. You probably only, if you tried to write down all the ones you probably think about 10 or 20, but there's hundreds. A lot of smaller ones, 1 person, two person. And you've really got to find a niche. You've got to find an industry or a product or something to make you stand out. Because otherwise you're just going to be playing with everyone else, and it's going to be very hard to grow.
Got it. This is something that I have later for the podcast. But yeah, I mean, okay. So you're talking about focusing onto a niche and focusing onto a particular industry in order to grow. That's something that we'll talk about later on. But right now, I just want to understand: is it really a good time to enter into the industry when the people who have already made their mark on into the industry and are there in this ecosystem for last 5 years or 6 years are struggling to get people to do a particular job? It's getting easier to get work right now, which was not easier before, but now it's getting way easier to get more work, but it is becoming very, very difficult to get more people into the system. So I think it's pretty difficult. And okay. And if you want to make, what are your thoughts about smaller consultancies getting acquired by bigger consultancies? Are you up for it, or you're like one should not do that and instead grow their consultancy even more or even bigger?
I think it depends. I think quite a lot of what you mean like should you, because
the reason why I'm asking this
your
question
employees
is
might not want to join a large consultancy.
Not just because of the employees. The reason why I'm asking this question is because we have been evaluating this from a really long, since July 2021 or even May 2021, there has not been a single week when I have got 2 to 3 emails at least for strategic investment opportunity, mergers and acquisitions, this and that. At least every week there are 2 to 3 emails which are suggesting that or related to investment opportunities or mergers and acquisitions and stuff like that. And when you are running a consultancy of almost 200 people, and you're doing things at this level where you do not actually need money to run or to grow your consultancy, do you think you should still consider getting an investment or going towards the path of getting acquired by a bigger consultancy or by any other investment banking firm or something like that?
I mean, I think this is kind of a classic dilemma that entrepreneurs have. If maybe you run a startup and you're getting millions thrown in your face after a few years, but how further do you have to grow? If you get offered, let's say, $1 million, but your company could be valued at 5 million in 1 year. Obviously, it's a lot better to hold on for that 1 more year. So yeah, I think it probably depends on a lot of factors, but overall, I would say if you're looking at it from a purely financial point of view, it's how much what could your valuation be in a few years' time, and what's your personal circumstances. If you've been working 80-hour weeks for years, and
that's actually what you need to do, to build and grow.
Yeah, and maybe you just want to bow out and take a few years off with your millions, then yeah,
go for it.
So a lot of factors, I think. Yeah.
Got it. Great. Okay. And how much do you think the culture of the company matters when you're building an organization, when you're building a consultancy, and how can you differentiate yourself from the other companies out there to your talent as well as to your clients?
Yeah, culture is very, very important. I think if you look at it from a, I mean, obviously it's nice, from a moral standpoint, everyone should be focusing on to make a great culture. You never want to be setting up a business and creating a horrible work environment, where your employees don't want to come to work. But ultimately, if you did do that, they would just leave. And I think in the Salesforce ecosystem, where it's, as we were just speaking about, it's so hard to hire talent and it's so competitive. I think one of the reasons we were able to grow so quickly was because we had a very high retention rate. If we were losing, consultants once a month or something like that, it would have been so hard to grow. So that was just obviously one of the biggest benefits. But as you kind of alluded to, it's nice to kind of trickle your culture down to your clients as well. So we focused on startups quite a lot. So fintech companies, prop tech, insurtech, all these kind of new industries. So we were quite a young company. We were very focused on culture. And we told our clients that when we were pitching to them. But these clients were also very focused on culture because they were, startups, and all startups are. So that was one of the reasons they liked us. And a few times they actually said this was the reason we wanted to work with you, because everyone we met seemed like, very down to earth, someone that we can get along with. So yeah, I think it's very, very important.
And what was the team size that you grew to at Empower when you were there as a managing director for I think you led that organization for almost 4 years, right?
Yes, just 4 years. Was it 4 years? 2016? Just over
5 years.
4.5. Yeah. So 25 people in the UK, but in the company there was probably about 70, I think, when I left.
Okay.
Which is about a year ago.
And were you responsible to behind starting the Berlin office as well?
No. So we started London office in, kind of end of 2015, start of 2016, and Berlin was, I think, start of 2015. So they'd been going for about a year before I joined. But they grew very, very quickly. They had a few really, really big clients. So I think they were kind of 20 people in a year or something like that. So they grew pretty quick.
Got it. Okay. And what is your advice for someone who starts, who's planning to start, or who starts a Salesforce consultancy right now into the space? Any advice if you have for someone like that?
Starting consult. So I think do your market research. Something that we just spoke about. Ensure that you're going to be going into a niche. Well, I think it depends, to be honest, because some people start consultancies and they stay small because it's probably more like a lifestyle business. They want to work for themselves. They don't want to get too big. They want a few clients where they can make a fair bit of money, but not grow and have that added stress, which is fine. But I think if you're looking to build a consultancy and sell it, then you've really got to do your market research and ensure that you're going into a good industry, focusing on good products, and ensuring you're going to have a USP that makes you stand out. Because otherwise you'll just kind of, end up with all these other
vanilla consultancies.
Consultancies that are, yeah, exactly. Vanilla. Yeah, that's a good way of putting it. But I've been doing a lot of consulting for consultancies, like after I left Empower. And a lot of people are in the same situation. They're just struggling to grow, which is mainly because they're struggling to build relationships with Salesforce. But Salesforce aren't going to want to really deal with you unless you are doing something different, unless you can help them in an industry where maybe they don't have that many consultancies. If you're doing, let's say, financial services, and they've got 20 consultancies which are queuing up to do work with Salesforce, and you want to start another one with no other USP, it's going to be hard to grow that.
Got it. So you have also written a book or a PDF. I'm not sure whether it's an ebook or it's a real book on building a sales.
PDF.
Yeah, it's a PDF, right? Yeah. So it's on building a Salesforce consultancy. Anyone who's watching this video and is actually interested into building a Salesforce consultancy should definitely go and check that out. We'll add the link down in the description. Please go and check that out. And yeah, so would you like to throw some light onto the same?
Yeah, sure. So yeah, after I left Empower, I felt like I kind of had a real crash course in how to build a consultancy. I had I had barely any Salesforce consulting experience before I joined, but it was I was immersed in it for 4.5 years. It was everything I was doing. So the book is kind of aimed at people who have maybe just started. I would say if you've got more than 1 or 2 years, in a kind of fairly big consultancy, you're probably going to know everything. But if you're, struggling to grow or you've got under 2 years experience, then it's going to really give you some insights. And the way that I've structured the book is there's a big section on Salesforce alliances. So it's how to deal with Salesforce, how to get leads from Salesforce, and it's I've got a few people in Salesforce who actually promote this because they like consultancies knowing how to deal with them. For example, not just asking for leads all the time without giving anything back to Salesforce at all. That's not going to get you anywhere. So big part on alliances, and then it kind of goes through sales and marketing and pre-sales operations, how to write a statement of work, what to include in it, and then goes on to a bit about culture. So I've kind of divided it into the main departments, if you like, within a business, and tips on how to grow the consultancy, really. Because unless you've done it before or unless you've worked in a consultancy, there are so many nuances to running a consultancy which you just otherwise wouldn't know unless you had actually done it before. So yeah, I've got some really good feedback on it so far. I think it's helped quite a lot of people. As I said, it just kind of speeds up your learning from those first kind of 2 years when you're running a consultancy.
So the topics that you mentioned actually covered almost everything that one needs to think about before starting their consultancy, or even if you have already started your consultancy. If any of these terms are new to you or you're unaware of them, I guess you're not doing your job the way you're required to do. I think you've covered everything almost. The alliances, the marketing, sales,
hopefully.
Everything.
Yeah, a bit of go to market strategy at the start. So a bit that I was talking about, verticals and doing research and things like that. There's some in that. The other thing it's got as well is a bunch of templates. So I think there's about 6 templates in there. So you've got a statement of work template, a presentation template, workshop templates, which I quite like. So it's like let's say you're running a Sales Cloud workshop. It's put this presentation up on the screen with the client, run through, what a lead is, run through the lead qualification process, the opportunity process, all that kind of stuff. So, and there's a few legal templates in there as well, but that should save you like thousands of dollars or pounds, or if you're looking at founding one.
Got it. Okay, and I think one should definitely check that out, and I'll check that PDF out as well after the call.
Thank you. I'll send it over to you.
Perfect. Yeah.
I'm sure you know it all, but
yeah, I mean, I will be happy to have it from you only. Great. Okay. A lot of people out there who have started their consultancy, who have been into the services or specifically IT services market, have moved towards the product side of things, right? I've seen a lot of people and who are actually very good at their job. Like, I don't know why it happens. They'll move towards the product side. So do you think this is the same thing that you have also done? And if yes, then please let us know how.
So I suppose when you say product, you mean like SaaS, like ISVs, SaaS, yeah. So I haven't done that. I did kind of do it for a while when I left Empower, but I didn't do it for. It was another app, another ISV that we never really launched. The Drip is like a marketing automation blog, that sister blog to Salesforce Ben. But okay. I think, I think it's a kind of logical choice. Salesforce Consulting is very well paid, but it is pretty stressful. And I think this varies between consultancies. Mm-hmm. Smaller consultancies do tend to be quite stressful because you're often working on, 5 projects at the same time or something like that, small. But if you're working at Accenture or something, you're going to be working on one project, and it's going to be very easy to bill your hours every week. But it is well paid, consultants get paid well. But I think with SaaS companies, especially that people are a bit more entrepreneurial and want to found an ISV or another SaaS company or something like that, the money to be made in that is absolutely huge. To give you an example, like a valuation of a Salesforce consultancy is usually 2 times revenue. So it's like, if you're turning over 1 million, you're worth $2 million. If it's a SaaS company doing 1 million, it's usually 10 times. So you're worth $10 million.
Because of the user base that they've got.
Yeah, and because it's so sticky, a consultancy, you have to bring in business every single month. With a SaaS business, they're paying you money every single month, but you're not,
Working for it. There's no work that is required.
No, and of course it builds up year after year. And if you've got a good product, you keep your customers and they keep paying you year after year after year. So it is a very logical choice because it's obviously a big risk to leave obviously it depends what kind of idea you have, but if you're leaving a well-paying consultant job to go and start a product company, you have to spend a lot of money building that product, and perhaps no one will use it, and you've wasted your time. Obviously that's the same with any business, but the payoff can be absolutely huge, and it can be a lot less stressful as well.
But at the time when you're building it, I think the stress just doubles up when you're just building it, and the chances of winning in the product side are 10 to 1, whereas the chances of winning into the consultancy side is 5 to 1, or you can say 3 to 1.
That's very true. I mean, if you want to leave and become a consultant, you're almost guaranteed to find at least something. A few projects to
at least
get your salary. But product side, of course, no one could do it. But I think a bit of advice that I got given when I was thinking about building an app was the fact that the skills that you've got as a Salesforce consultant, developer, whatever, you can leave for a year and maybe you won't get a salary for a year, but you can try and build something. If that doesn't work, you can just get a job as a Salesforce developer again. The ecosystem isn't going anywhere. So, if you have that entrepreneurial itch and you want to try out something, the Salesforce ecosystem is the perfect place to do it because it is low risk. You might not get paid for a bit, but you can get another job.
Yeah, definitely. Got it. So the odds of winning onto the product side are comparatively less, but the odds of winning onto the consultancy side are pretty much high. And okay, I thought that you went towards the product side and then you went back towards the consultancy side. So that was the misconception.
I did for a few months, but then I went back. The product wasn't really working out. So yeah, like we just discussed.
Got it. I just learned the same thing because it happens to everyone who is who has got that entrepreneurial thing into their mindset. So yeah, that's why. Okay, how do you prepare yourself as well as your organization for the future?
Good question. So we're a bit of a funny company, Salesforce Ben, just because we've grown. So the website was my personal blog for so many years, and it's only really in the past just over a year that we've turned into a proper company. We've got 5 employees now, including myself. And thinking about the future and planning is something that we have been doing, but it's kind of grown quite organically. So something that we use for kind of shorter term goals is OKRs that you might be familiar with. So it's something that Google uses. So you have objectives, and it stands for objectives, key results, and we do them quarterly to kind of plan.
It's similar to V2 Mom thing that Salesforce uses for themselves.
Yeah, exactly. But something that we haven't been very good at is kind of planning the longer term strategy. So where we want to be in 5 years time. And this is just something that we haven't, or I haven't really thought about doing, but just been too busy, I guess. But funnily enough, this week we're having an offsite with the team where we're actually going to start speaking about our vision, putting our vision statement together, then putting a mission statement together. And then off of those, we can start building our longer term strategies. So this is something that we're actually doing this week to have a brainstorm about what our vision is for Salesforce Ben.
Got it. Talking about Salesforce Ben, I'm very curious to know how you started Salesforce Ben and what came to your mind when you... So I think it was one of the first blogs ever written onto Salesforce, and...
It wasn't one of the first blogs, actually. No, there was actually quite a lot of them around. So I started it in 2014, and there was David Liu's
He started
blog
in 2012.
Was around before mine.
Yeah.
2012 was it? And then there was Button Click Admin.
Admin
you might
Hero.
Remember.
Yeah.
So that got Admin Hero. So Button Click Admin was Mike Gaholtz that got acquired by Salesforce. That turned into the admin.
Mike, I guess.
Blog.
It was Mike.
Mike Gaholtz. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And then Brent Downey, Admin Hero.
Admin Hero, Brent Downey.
And then there was quite a few more actually. So it gave me some inspiration to be able to do mine. But the reason it came about was, I can't really remember the exact reason. I do remember someone at my work at the time photoshopping my face onto Superman, doing that. and then changing the Superman logo to Salesforce. And I think he called me Salesforce Boy. And then I reserved the domain name Salesforce Ben, because I did want to start like writing about Salesforce. And then also I designed the website myself. It wasn't very good, but it had Superman.
It was good. It was good.
Photoshop.
That was really good.
And yeah, it was creative. I'll give myself that. But we don't really use that anymore. If you go on Salesforce Ben, actually, the small logo on Chrome is still the superhero. But yeah, it was mainly at that time. It was before Trailhead, and it's before Trailhead, and also there wasn't many blogs writing about kind of solutions or tutorials. So the main things I started writing was the tutorials I had to work out myself. So the first post I ever wrote was about recurring milestones in Service Cloud, because Salesforce had a bit of documentation, but it wasn't that great. So I had to work out quite a lot of the stuff myself, and I was like, okay, I'll write this down. So if I need to look at it again, I can look at it. But I was like, why not do it in a blog? So if anyone else is interested, then they can look at it as well. But I think the thing that we did differently is a lot of the other blogs focused on one niche. So Admin Hero was admin, Button Click Admin was admin, David Lew's was learning Apex for the 99%. So they did that, and then I kind of wanted to focus on everything. And of course, I could only write about what I knew about, so I couldn't really write about Apex because I wasn't a developer. But I could write about Salesforce news. I could write about career paths and salaries and all this stuff. And for the topics that I didn't know about, I could get guest posters in to write about that. So that was the thing that I guess kind of we focused on the niche that was everything, which at that time was a niche, focusing on anything to do with Salesforce. So I kind of always had the vision to become like the tech crunch of Salesforce. So a website that anyone can log on to, maybe once a week, something like that, and just learn something new, find out the latest news about Salesforce. And I think slowly we're getting there.
Got it. You have actually built a complete platform altogether, starting with a blog. I know a lot of hundreds of people who have started writing blogs onto Salesforce, but very few came to this level where it's actually a synonym now that whenever you want to know or learn or want to be updated onto the Salesforce technology, this is something that you should check out regularly. So yeah, you've done a great job with that. Highly appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Great. And okay, so you've got 5-year plans for that. What new things you're coming up with?
Not yet,
Okay.
not yet. So this is what we're gonna. I mean, we have a short term plan. So we've just released our courses website. So we're going to start. I mean, we've always sold practice exams. So this is something that we've done. It's something that people know Salesforce Ben for quite a few years. But it was a bit of a rubbishy platform. So we've launched a new platform which is going to have kind of fully blown courses.
Yeah, I
so
just saw that.
Convert my. Oh, okay, cool. So yeah, we've just relaunched a practice exam pack. We're releasing an admin course very soon. So if someone wants to pass their admin cert, you can run through this and it will teach you everything. I'm going to convert my consultancy, my PDF, building a consultancy into a course. And then we're also speaking to a lot of people around the ecosystem to actually build courses for the platform as well. So that's one thing that we're doing. But yeah, there's a few things in the pipeline, but the vision meeting that we're having and the strategy meetings are going to form, a lot of what we're going to be doing from years to come. But obviously it's going to be mostly based around Salesforce.
Yeah, almost everything.
Yeah. I mean, I've got the domain name now, so.
In fact, your number plate of the car that you've got has also SF Ben. And I don't know how did you got that in India?
Don't remind me.
Why?
I saw it. Well, I saw it and I was like, okay, that if I buy that is really obnoxious. But I was like, but I also can't just not buy that. So yeah, I bought it.
How did you got that? I mean, in India we've got different kind of number plates and everything. But like, is it possible in London to get anything on your number plate?
No, not. So it was luck really. So I think in the US you can reserve anything as long as someone else hasn't got it.
Okay.
In the UK, you only have set number plates. So there's a set format. So most people's number plates will, you can make it spell Ben, but maybe with an 8 and a 3 and then an N or something like that. But this was just pure luck. I found this and it said SFBen. So the E is a 3, but
Yeah,
it does look quite
yeah,
good, but it is quite obnoxious.
it is amazing. It is really amazing. I mean, I was
Yeah.
like, oh god, and I was like, even I wanted something like this, but this is something that I cannot get in here. So yeah, that's what it is. Anyways, it's really amazing. It's really amazing. I was really, I don't know, happy but a little sad, but I don't know how I was feeling when I got to know about this. Anyways, and you've got an amazing car, by the way. That's one of the
Oh,
great
cool.
cars that I
Thank you.
know out there. Okay, uh,
It is.
it is.
It's an AMG,
Yeah,
so
it's C63.
AMGs just sound great.
Yeah,
Yeah, C63.
and like when like where did you drive this onto the circuit? Like, is it there in UK or somewhere else?
Yeah, Brands Hatch. I drove it, so it's like a track day,
Mm-hmm.
where everyone brings their own cars and things like that. So yeah, it was fun. It was very scary though. It's rear wheel drive and it's got about 510 brake horsepower. So it's pretty scary to drive.
It must be drifting at the corners, right?
Yeah, but I do not turn off the traction control. No way, because I will crash it.
Got it. Great. Okay, I'm just curious to know that how much your personal brand actually helped you grow in your career.
Yeah, I think quite a lot. There's definitely no substitute for building a personal brand, and it's something that I taught. Written quite a few blog posts about it because it does help massively. I think with when I was working at Conga, before I worked at Empower, I would go to a stand, I would go to an event at a stand or something like that, and you get a lot of people coming up that had read the blog and things like that. At Empower, I would say it definitely helped me get my job, not the managing director job, but initially got it. The interview was extremely short, just because I already had the personal brand. They knew that I kind of knew that I was talking about. So yeah, it definitely helped there. And I think when I was at Empower as well, I would deal with Salesforce, and Salesforce knew Salesforce Ben, so it would help me build relationships there. Customers occasionally would know Salesforce Ben, so it would help there. And I think the main way it helps people is, if I was meeting you for the first time or anyone for the first time, there's that kind of the moment where you have to try and build trust with someone. You're sussing someone out to try and work out if you want to do business with them and if they're a nice person. And I think the personal brand just skips those steps because someone knows that you're knowledgeable about a certain area, and to an extent you're a nice person. I mean, you might not know from online, but yeah, I think it can help you skip a few of those initial steps when you're sussing someone out.
Great, and that's actually what it did to me as well, because it's really tough. So I'm 25 years old actually, and all of these things that I've done in my career wouldn't have been possible if I wouldn't have started this Salesforce Hulk back at that time. And now I feel a lot of things automatically happen just because people already know me or the brands that I'm associated with, and there's a trust. There is there's a trust which is already built there just because you're providing value to the people. And that's the real that was the purpose behind creating Salesforce Hulk, nothing else. No, I didn't even knew what personal brand was when I just started this Salesforce Hulk thing.
Yeah, me too.
But it turned out so well, and it gives you that satisfaction when you help people, and when not only when people come to you and tell you that, okay, you helped me build my career, I got my job after having kids for or after raising kids for 10 years, I again wanted to go back into the industry, but I was not able to. But after watching your videos or your content, I was able to build my career back onto the platform. Thank you so much. It gives you that sense of satisfaction, or that sense of gratitude towards life, that yeah, you are actually doing something which is impacting life, because that really doesn't happen when you do deliveries.
Yeah. No, massively. Yeah, I mean that is extremely rewarding. I also think I think something that you were saying then, which I completely forgot about, what are the opportunities that get presented to you? So I've had so many, so many conversations with people recently, from people who reach out to me on LinkedIn saying, "Hi, I'm from XYZ company. We're thinking about doing something with Salesforce. Can we have a call?" So at the moment, I'm dealing with a private equity firm who's doing something in the Salesforce space. I'm dealing with a creative agency who's doing something in the Salesforce space. And the only reason they reached out to me was because of my personal brand. If I didn't have that, then I wouldn't be doing interesting things with them. So yeah, it's definitely.
Yeah.
And I think we should also have a virtual high five, because we were both the youngest Salesforce MVPs at one time or
Really?
another.
At what time you were?
Virtual high five. 2016.
16. Okay. So
I was 26 in 2016.
That's good.
No, but I was 25 actually. It was just before my birthday.
I was 22, I guess.
MVP.
I was 22 when I.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow. That must be a record.
Pretty much. I'm not sure. I'm not anymore, but yeah. At that time, I was really the youngest one, and
Nice.
yeah, it happened automatically. And then later someone told me, even I was not even aware about this, that I am the youngest one. But when like there was someone who was also an MVP, and he told me that you are the youngest one, and then I was like, okay, really? Let me check this out. And then I checked it.
5 years ago. Not anymore. I'm 31 now.
No. I mean, no. Someone told me that Shrey, you are the youngest one right now. I was not even aware about it, that whether I'm the youngest one or not. And then later I checked out the birth dates or anything that was available out there for all of the people who were MVPs at that moment. And then I realized that I am the one at that moment. And yeah, it really feels amazing when you do things at a younger age. And at what time did you start your career, by the way?
So 2012. I kind of did a few. I was aware of Salesforce a bit before that, but it was mainly it was about September 2012.
So I started my career when I was 18, and that's why I became the youngest one at that moment. Anyways, so how did you become Salesforce MVP, by the way? Because of the Salesforce Ben thing and all that you were doing along the time?
Yeah, it was just that. No, I didn't really, up so much time in the evenings and things. I didn't really have any other time to do any other activities. So yeah, that was the main one.
Got it. In year 2016, I was just training people onto Salesforce in Rajasthan.
On YouTube.
Not only on YouTube, I was training people onto Salesforce in person as well. I was the first trainer of Salesforce in complete Rajasthan. It's a state in India, if you know about it. And I was 18, 19 when I started training people onto Salesforce. And I guess in 2016 as well, I was just running a training company in here.
Yeah.
Yes.
Wow.
And
very cool.
Like this YouTube thing I started is late 2016 or 17, I guess, probably. Anyways, I have got more questions for you. I'll not waste much of your time now. Okay. Tell us about your love for cats. How many cats do you have?
Oh yes, 2 cats.
Okay.
2 cats, Sashimi and Kaizo.
Can you please say the name again?
Sashimi. So it's like the bit of the Japanese like high quality sushi. Sashimi, and then Kaizo, which is the Japanese seaweed salad. So yeah, they're Japanese cats. I mean, they're not, but they've got Japanese names. But yeah, big fan of cats.
Yeah, I mean, since when did this all started? Like, I mean, you've always been a like big cat guy or something like that?
Yeah, I have, but my girlfriend is really, really into cats.
Okay.
So at the first opportunity, she got cats, but I would say, yeah, since being with her, I'm massively more a cat person. So I've got to always have cats in my life now. Okay. I'm surprised they haven't jumped up actually. They're around here somewhere.
I've seen them a lot in your Instagram stories and stuff. So yeah, I was very curious to know about that. I thought of having one, but yeah, my family will not allow me to have one. So I'm good with that.
That's a shame. They're great.
They're great?
Yeah. They are. Good fun.
Amazing. And are you into stand-up comedy as well? I mean, I just heard it from somewhere. I'm just trying to figure this out, whether this is the truth or not.
I'm not really into stand-up comedy actually. I mean, I've been to stand-up comedy and I've enjoyed it. but it's it's not something I've done too much.
Okay.
Is it something you're into
Not
then?
at all.
Okay, really.
I suck at all of these things. Please ignore my words, but yeah.
Oh, you mean if I actually do it?
Mm-hmm.
Oh
No.
no.
Yeah, that's what I thought. That
I've never done
you've
that.
been a stand-up comedian or not?
No.
That's what I'm asking.
No.
I heard it from somewhere. I don't know where from, but yeah, this is something that
No. I don't think anyone would come and see me, to be honest.
that's the same feeling that I have for myself. And in fact, the people who
Yeah,
are even
yeah.
sitting over there would walk off right away.
Yeah.
Amazing. And are you a DJ? Because you're completely into electronic music, I guess. So like,
Yeah,
do you play
yeah.
or you're just
I'm not,
into it?
I don't class myself. I can DJ a little bit, but I've been into electronic music for probably, I don't know, 13 years or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm into like everything, like drum and bass, techno, house, disco, dubstep. So yeah, quite a lot of things. But it's every time I go and see a DJ, I'm just like, I want to go and I want to do that. So I'll get the motivation for about a week or something after I see the DJ, and then my motivation kind of slowly fades. But it's pretty hard to learn. It's actually easy to learn a basic level, but it's to progress to the next level is extremely hard. So I've like DJ'd at house parties and mess around every now and then, but nothing too serious. But it's a bit of fun.
Got it. I've seen you going to a lot of parties and everything, and I guess I saw some picture of you playing some DJ around as well. And that must be a house party then.
I think so. Yeah. Just friends' house parties and stuff. But yeah, London's a great city if you're into electronic music. So yeah, a lot of cool DJs come.
Got it. I'm not much into electronic music. The question that I'm asking over here is because of Saril. He's working with me, the one who took the dry run and everything, and he also follows you. And he said that please ask him who are the who are the DJs that he loves the most. So yeah, here's the question for you from Saril.
Oh God, tough question. I don't really listen to specific DJs, but if I had to pick some, I would say Adam Beyer,
Okay.
Taylor Buss, Prosper, Bicep. Yeah, I don't know if you know any of those.
None of which I've heard of.
I had to think hard. I'm into so many that it's hard to nail down. But yeah, they're quite underground. They're quite famous. Like they've probably got around, I don't know, its biggest one like 1 million followers on Instagram. But at the same time, they're very underground. If you're not into electronic music, you would have never heard of them before.
Got it. So I guess I got the answer for Saril. Anyways, let's come back to to being running a consultancy, which we have been doing from so long. First of all, do you like to work alone, or you're a kind of person who likes to work with a team? So, I mean, which kind of a person are you?
Definitely a bit of both. I think if I look at my calendar for the day and there's no meetings at all, I'm like a happy person because I always have a lot of work to do. So if I have a free day, it's nice to just, I can work, on loads of different projects, just completely uninterrupted. But then at the same time, I think, especially in the business that we're in, at the moment, so Salesforce Ben and stuff like that, brainstorming with people in the team and collaborating and things like that is invaluable. When you're trying to think of great ideas for new blogs or great ideas for webinars or something like that, bouncing ideas off each other is just really nice. And we also have quite a few projects ongoing that we work with other people as well, which I find extremely helpful. Again, it's like bouncing ideas off each other, also being accountable to one another. If you're just working on your own in a project, it's sometimes hard to get the motivation to finish it. But if you're working with someone else, you don't want to let the other person down. So definitely a bit of both, 50-50, I would say.
Got it. So I mean, when it comes to me, I'm completely into teams. In fact, I cannot work like from home or remotely. I need people around all the time in order to work. And when there are people around, I am on 3x speed of what I can accomplish or what I can execute on. when I'm
Really?
alone. Yeah, that happens. I don't know why this
Yeah,
is.
I do know what you mean actually. When I worked at Empower, the consultancy, I was in the office every single day. Most people would come in maybe 3 times a week, but I really enjoyed going into the office. But now we don't have an office; we're all remote, so it's a little bit different. But we try and meet up. You know, we're meeting up this week for an offsite, so we meet up just over once a quarter because of course it is nice to be around each other.
Got it. Yeah, and it's actually required to have that personal connect with all of the people that you're working with, because that doesn't happen virtually naturally.
Yeah,
Okay, and
yeah.
I have a question for you, which which is a question which a lot of entrepreneurs or the people who are running a consultancy struggle with, and that is, would you choose quantity over quality or quality over quantity? And what I mean by that is, let me describe it for you. Would you rather have 10 people who are the best at the job that they are at, or the job that they're doing while you're running a consultancy? Or, like, let's say, would you have a team of 20 people or 25 people to run a consultancy, or to run an organization, rather than having 100 people, which are just average, or some below average and some above average, a mix of all of those people? Which one would you choose?
Um, which one would I choose? I mean, it's hard. I mean, straight away I would choose the quality, but I think in a normal consultancy it would completely you would definitely need a mix, because the thing is, if you wanted to hire, every single person you hire has to be quality. That kind of equals expensive. So, you know, and obviously you can't hire, you know, everyone on. I mean, a good consultant in the UK will cost like £70,000. And obviously, you know, you can only have a few of those, and it's quite good to have, you know, like your kind of like lieutenants. You know, if you're like the CEO or the managing director, you have a few lieutenants who are, you know, very, very good, very dependable, and then that allows you to hire potentially more junior people, or people that maybe, you know,
Just starting up, yeah.
mid-level, who don't, yeah, or just starting out, who don't have to have the same quality, but you can rely on the more senior person to take care of them, make sure they're progressing, and making sure they're doing good work as well. So yeah, if I had to choose, definitely the quality. It's not nice working with people who are, you know, if you had a whole company of kind of, you know, as you said, quantity people who maybe aren't that good, you know, I think it can be a bit frustrating.
Got it. I think for me it depends completely onto what I am up for. Like, if my goal is to actually have is to actually increase the revenue, increase the growth, and fuel the growth of the organization, I think we've got no choice but to choose quantity for a while.
Mm,
And out of that quantity, you have to figure out, or you have to filter out the quality that you have got out of that quantity, and then make sure to enable all of those people who have got quality, to give them the power, position, and the money that they need in order to help you
yeah,
grow that organization along with you as a lieutenant. So I
yeah,
think this is
yeah,
exactly what you're saying,
definitely.
right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Because it's difficult to actually hire quality people. It takes a lot of time, and it's again expensive. And not only that,
Mm,
you cannot find the best of the best people out there available out in the market until unless you've got millions backing you already. And even if you've got that, it takes a lot of time to hire. And even if you think that this is the best person to do this job, once you hire and later you realize that I guess I was not right at that moment. You only realize that that later on, when that person is actually coming to you to work with you, that whether they are the best into their job or not. And it's again very difficult to retain the quality people. So if you want to make a job
yeah.
easier, I guess you have to sometimes choose quantity over quality. I mean, these are the.
Yeah, true. And quite a lot of the most successful consultancies in the
Mhm.
UK actually, you know, focus on hiring juniors, you know, graduates and things like that, and having, you know, a really intense training program. Because juniors, you know, they're well, they are cheap initially, and they can be, you know, if they're talented, they can be trained up on Salesforce very, very quickly. Which means, you know, as obviously they get more senior, you need to increase their salary. But you know, it's a very good way to do business, and also help new people into the ecosystem instead of just moving people around from different consultancies.
Exactly. It really helps a lot, not only the organization but also the ecosystem, and also the people to whom you're bringing into the ecosystem, because you're enabling them for the jobs which will be there out there in the future for like a little long time. And apart from that, what was I saying? Yeah, I mean, yeah, I mean, it's so in the salary of two experienced people, you can get 5 of them initially, and you can
Mm,
train them. And yeah, what I was saying was, if you hire experienced people, you have to first invest into them. What I'm talking about, listen to this, right? If you're hiring an experienced person, you have to first invest the time and the energy to untrain them as well. Sometimes
mm,
there is an unlearning that you have to do with the experienced people. Whereas if you're hiring a fresh graduate or someone like that, they are very like aggressive towards learning new thing, and they're very much into it, and they're willing to do anything that it takes in order to be the best into the technology. And they learn things faster and they adapt to all of these things. Whereas if you hire someone who's already working into any other technology, and then you're hiring them in your organization, and then you're expecting them to train onto, yeah, you want them to be trained onto Salesforce. And so first thing that you have to do is untrain them the
mm.
things that you already know, and that requires a lot of time. And sometimes if the person is rigid and a bit arrogant, it lands up into a dirty space. So yeah, so if you want to grow, I guess you have to focus towards that as well. But completely depends
Yeah,
on to where you
yeah,
want to take your organization. Anyways,
definitely a mix. Yeah.
yeah. Okay. Okay. So another question related to the organization only. Should you as a consultancy be specific to a cloud or industry, or you should have a diversified portfolio or service listings?
Yeah, I mean, definitely diversified products. I know very, very few consultancies. I think there's a few MuleSoft consultancies out there that just focus on MuleSoft, but they are very rare.
Very rare, yeah.
I think most consultancies will focus on most products, but all consultancies should have an industry. I would say the normal amount is kind of max 5 industries,
Mm-hmm.
not too much more than that, because otherwise you're kind of you're focusing on everything.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's important for a couple of reasons. One is that you'll become a better consultancy if you're only consulting for a few industries, because you'll get more experience in that industry. And then when we did financial services, and if I walked into a meeting with a financial services firm, I could talk for hours about Salesforce and financial services, what to do, what not to do, blah, blah, blah. If you got someone who had never done financial services before walking into that same meeting, it's not going to look as good as if you've got all that experience. But at the same time, Salesforce are completely verticalized for anyone that doesn't know. So all their teams are focused in an industry, and they're going to want to deal with you the same way a client's going to want to deal with you if you have that industry experience. Because you can also advise Salesforce as well. Salesforce know their product suite very well, but they don't know the intimate details of their customers' projects very well, because they're not working on them. It's the consultancies. So that's one way to add value to the Salesforce relationship.
So your answer is basically to focus onto one initially, and then diversify it later on if you have the capacity to do
Um,
that.
I would say most people, if you're starting up from scratch, will probably have big industry experience in maybe one or maybe two industries, depending on how many jobs you had before. So definitely focus on the ones that you know first, and then branch out. And there's a lot of similarities between, let's say, financial services and property in some way, because property companies are, they're selling property or renting property, or which is financial. So there are similarities between some industries which may be logical to go after.
So you talk about only being industry specific, as well as the product specific, or being industry specific and the product should be diversified portfolio if you can do that.
Yeah, I think the industries, you don't want to have too many. So I would say 5 and under. But when it comes to products, I don't think it really matters too much. I mean, Salesforce have so many products now. It's not like you should limit yourself. If you're doing sales service, marketing cloud, Pardot, community cloud, Slack, and there's a few more that you could do. You could easily
Commerce
get
cloud,
10,
yeah.
and it would probably be manageable. So yeah, I would say that matters less. Being product specific. Industry specific is very important though.
Got it. Perfect. Okay. What are your thoughts onto the Salesforce job ecosystem in the upcoming years for the people who are planning to start their career right now into the industry? So we have talked about the people who want to build their own consultancy earlier, and now what I'm asking is that like what would be the Salesforce job ecosystem look like into the upcoming years? So what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, it's hard to say. It's because I think it's been a really interesting few years because for as long as I've worked in Salesforce, there has always been a job shortage. And Trailhead came out, which was meant to kind of increase the amount of people learning about Salesforce, so the Salesforce ecosystem could continue to expand. There's been a lot of training organizations, which I think they're contracted by Salesforce to
Trailhead Academy.
train out other people. Trailhead Academy. You've also got Pathfinders as well, which is something that's set up in the UK and the US. I don't know if there might be some other countries as well, but that's training people from IT backgrounds in
Retraining.
Salesforce.
Yeah.
So there's
Journey to Salesforce.
retraining, and and there's companies like Revelant who are in the UK and the US who are training up people as well. So there's basically what I'm trying to say is there's so many initiatives to get new people from outside the ecosystem in. And I think maybe the job market might be a bit more balanced now if it wasn't for COVID. But of course, COVID's happened and accelerated everyone's digital transformation so much that there's a job shortage. I mean, pretty much everywhere, especially in Salesforce as well. So I would like to think that as these initiatives speed up and people put more of a focus on them, for consultancies, it should be easier to hire consultants, and there should be more talent available in the ecosystem. But I think it's also important that professionals, especially professionals already in the ecosystem, stand out. By focusing on products that they haven't, that are maybe a bit more niche, like CPQ or billing. Marketing cloud is still quite niche. Commerce is still quite niche. As opposed to just focusing on the normal sales cloud, service cloud, things like that. Because as more people start to join the ecosystem, which I think they will, and to an extent they kind of need to, if Salesforce needs to continue growing, they need the talent to support the consultancies, to support the end users. So the market might get a bit saturated at some point, and professionals are going to need to stand out to ensure they're still relevant.
And when do you think that this saturation is going to come up? That's exactly what I wanted to ask, actually.
Yeah, no idea. Too hard to say, I think.
When do you think it will not
really hard to
happen?
say.
I mean, for how long do you
I
think?
think it'll be at least a year. At least a year.
Just a year? It's too short.
Well, yeah, I mean, but that's why. Yeah, that's why I made say at least an actual estimate. Yeah, I'm not too sure, but so many organizations are focusing on training now that it's got to pay off sometime. So maybe a year, maybe 2 years. I wouldn't have expected longer than 2 years, to be honest. I think that's enough time to train people to a good level and get them in. But yeah, I mean, who knows? What do you think, Shrey? What's your guess?
I think for at least 2 years, it's going to be the same. And 2 years down the line, later after 2 years, I think it's going to roll back. And all the thing which professionals would need or require to do is to stand out again, exactly as you said. The reason is very simple. Currently, like let's say there is a demand for 100 people, and there are only 70 people available. So there is a shortage of 30 people. But what is happening right now is that all of these 70 people are playing with all of the organizations here and there, just taking an offer letter from one and then showing it to the other one, then showing it to the third one, and then showing it to the fourth one. None of these organizations are stable. So what all these organizations are doing right now is they are creating their own training program and getting the fresh graduates or somebody else from any other industry and getting them trained onto the Salesforce. So instead of these, the requirement is 100. With time, it might grow to 110 or 120. But because of what these 70 people are doing right now to the industry, these organizations are training people which will be more than 100 and definitely more than 120 as well. So at the end of the day, in like 1.5 years or 2 years, whatever the time frame is going to look like, it's going to be 150 to 200 people out there into the whole ecosystem. And whereas the requirements are only 100 or max 120, so now what will these 30 people or 60 people who are trained more into the technology or onto the domain would do? So it's going to roll down. and it's going to hurt these
Yeah.
70 people who initially did that. If they do not have the capability to stand out, or if they are not up to the date of onto Salesforce, because Salesforce completely requires you to update your skill sets every year almost. There's something or the other new coming up, and generally what happens is new people get trained onto the newer things only. So for them, it's only learning. But for the people who are who have already been into the industry, they first have to unlearn the things that they already know, and then they have to learn. And it becomes difficult for people who are already experienced into the industry to unlearn things and learn new things. So yeah, it's going to go backwards. I mean, this is what I think. I don't know whether I'm going to be correct or not, but I think this is how it's going to look like, because companies are scared.
Sorry.
Yeah,
Finish
yeah,
off.
yeah. So companies are actually scared. Companies are scared of the nature of the people that they are seeing right now. They do not want to be dependent onto people. They are in a position where there is a gun pointed onto their head. Pay us this much or else we'll leave. Pay us this much or else we'll leave. They are smart enough. They'll pay you right now. They'll have you for 6 months, and 6 months down the line, they'll create so many people similar to you, or at least 1% or 10% less than you, and they'll be good to go for the job that you are doing right now. But later, what would you do? You'll not be like promoted to a position of leadership or something like that. And if this can, I think this will not work out if the requirement from 100 goes to 150 or 200. But if it goes to 120, definitely it's gonna backfire. What do you think?
Yeah, no, definitely. I think I have heard some stories of people moving jobs and getting paid absolutely insane amounts of money, like 6 figures for 3 years experience, things like that. So that's just a sign that the job market is insane. But I think one of the things that I think is quite interesting is the ISV market at the moment. The app exchange market is just so big. I mean, if you look at some of the companies in the DevOps space, the funding they're getting and the growth they're seeing at the moment, it's pretty insane. And that is another avenue for people to go down, and another avenue for people to be trained up in, and things like that. So that could help the ecosystem in 2 ways. One, professionals are joining these companies, learning about Salesforce, maybe not learning about consulting, but learning about the ecosystem, and then they could move jobs. But also, they're creating more jobs in these companies with all this investment that's coming in from VCs at the moment. So I think that's going to be an area to watch over the next few years, definitely. I don't think there's been a time in my 10-year career that there's been this much money flowing into.
There's a lot of money
ISVs.
that's flowing in. That's for sure. I mean, yeah. That this was something that I guess I was not aware about, and only time will tell what will happen and what will not. But one thing is for sure, that all of the people who are doing this or are not doing this, who are getting the jobs or who are not getting the jobs, you'll have to make yourself in a position, or put yourself in a position where you can showcase, where you can stand out. Basically, that's it. And if you can stand out, I think it's a good to go thing for you. But if you'll not be able to do that, it might get difficult for you as well.
Yeah, definitely.
Perfect. I have few questions left. Only I'll not take much of the time now. Okay. What do you think is the difference between being an independent contractor and building up a company? Have you been been into both of the situations?
No, I did a bit of freelancing, freelance consulting, not a contractor, but yeah, I mean, I suppose one is really just a job. I mean, you get a bit more flexibility, if you're a contractor, a little bit more flexibility, but you're still working, 40 hours a week, and, you're getting paid £500, $600, $700 a day, which is pretty damn good. But at the end of the day, you're just getting paid for your time. It's not really a business. Versus creating a consultancy, it's something a bit bigger. You can potentially sell it. You're hiring employees. You can
creating systems, processes, stuff like that.
Yeah, exactly. So it's obviously a lot more complex and potentially a lot more stress involved, but a lot more lucrative at the same time.
So you're more inclined towards building an organization or a company rather than just being a freelancer or a company. Any other reason that you see towards by just building a company? Any other reason that you see of building a company other than just selling it off and making more money? Or
I think one of the main things is I'm not really a fan of jobs that it's tied to your time. If you're working a normal job, obviously you're getting paid a salary for your time. Versus if you're creating a business, you're not getting paid for your time, and you're potentially selling a product or something like that, which doesn't mean you have to work an hour to sell however many products. You can build this product once, and then you can sell it on. And I guess that's kind of the fundamental concept of entrepreneurialism. If that's the right word, if that is a word. Yeah, which that's why I'm a fan of building businesses and building products.
It gives you the freedom.
It gives you freedom. Yeah, exactly.
Got it. I think that's one of the main reasons because of which I'm also because of which I've also never done a job or something like that. I always wanted to do something of my own, because it allows you to do whatever you want to do, and it is fun. It's fun. It's fun rather than just doing freelancing and making a lot of money. You do not have people to talk to.
Oh God.
Here she is.
There we are. Towards the end of the podcast. That's Kaizo with a huge tail.
Okay. Yeah. That's how you identify?
Had to make an appearance. Yeah.
Got it. Okay, yeah. So, yeah, it's fun. It's actually, so you get the freedom to do whatever the things that you want to do. So, like, let's say if I would have been an independent contractor or a freelancer or someone like that, I have to deliver that service, or I have to do that particular job in order to get paid. Whatever that money is, it might be an insane amount of money that you might be getting for that. But the thing is, you're not able to do the things that makes you feel good about the things that you're doing in your life. And also you're not building up something. You're just selling your hours or selling your time to make some money. And I think that's not the thing for the people who have got that entrepreneurial mindset, I guess. Anyways, yeah.
Yeah, and I think obviously everyone has to work. I mean, maybe not you, but most people have to work salary jobs to get the experience to do something like that. But and I think we have spoken a lot about money. But as you said, it is very fun. It's something obviously you enjoy doing. It's something that I enjoy doing. And also you can have an impact on people. You can build something up. And I'd like to think that we are having impact on our employees, giving them a better work-life balance. We promote flexible working and all that kind of stuff. So hopefully by building up a business, you can have an impact on your employees and possibly the world at some point.
It does happen, but I mean, yeah, this is something. But do you enjoy the process? I think the process has got more fun. The process of struggling with very small, minuscule things to the place where you have built the company, where all of these minuscule things or the very small things that you used to worry about doesn't really matter at all. And when you look back, that what have I done? I mean, yeah. I started a company with 5 people in a basement of a house where we used to pay rent that was equivalent to paying a rent for a 1 BHK flat or something like that. And we built the company over there, and now we've got like almost 200 people working with us. So you usually do not do that, but when you do it, like when you look back at what you have built as an organization, what culture you have built, how you have impacted the lives of people, and I mean, it gives you that, I don't know, I mean, that confidence, that satisfaction. And again, all what you enjoy is not the achievements or the accolades or the medals that you've got, but the process that you've been through and the kind of person that you become into, or the kind of person you become while being into that process. And that's something that I guess I'm proud of. Do you relate with that?
Definitely. Yeah, definitely. And it's kind of like the ultimate challenge, right? It's like, building a business is not easy to do. And if you succeed at it, it's overcoming a whole bunch of obstacles. And if you succeed, it's a very rewarding experience. So yeah, no, completely agree.
Got it. Okay. Like couple of last questions. It's been 10 years for you into the Salesforce ecosystem. Do you sometimes feel that it will get obsolete in some time like other technologies, or do you feel that it has just started?
I don't think it's going to become obsolete. I mean, Salesforce is one of the stickiest products going. It's not often someone chooses to ditch Salesforce and go for another competitor. Salesforce is so embedded in an organization, it's hard for them to go anywhere really. I think I don't know if it's just getting started. I mean, Salesforce they're growing at a pretty insane rate still. But I think if Salesforce were to become obsolete, there would be some very obvious signs. And at the moment, I don't think we're seeing any of those signs.
Not even in 3 to 4 years? Because this has happened with almost every technology that we have seen in the past. Till now, you cannot see any sign of it, yeah?
Not really. No. I'm bullish on Salesforce.
Got it. Perfect. Okay. Okay. So at CloudOrca, it's again the same thing that you're doing. You are starting your Salesforce Consultancy with that. Is that what you're doing with CloudOrca?
I'm a non-executive director for them. So it's kind of like an advisory position.
One last thing. What is the one myth that you want to burst about the industry we are in?
Experience is always going to be more valuable than certifications.
Perfect. It was really nice talking to you, Ben. Thank you so much for being onto the show. It was a pleasure having you and interacting with you.
Thank you very much for inviting me. Yeah, you too. Hopefully we can do it again soon.
Definitely. And if you need any of my help with anything, let me know. I'll always be there.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for
being
onto the show.
Appreciate it.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Cheers, Shrey.
Yeah.
See you later. Bye.